itself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nurov in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Hay deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Good evening and welcome to the UK SimRacers Championship of 2024 in the autumn season, round 4 of the autumn. We are at the brand new circuit of iRacing that's just been released recently. That is Cadwell Park, situated in the area of Louth in Lincolnshire. in the United Kingdom. I'm Tom Cairns in the commentary position. Alongside me is Dean Biggles, who'll be with me for the next couple of hours to analyse on all the action within this championship. The drivers have just begun qualifying, and so we'll go straight to the championship standings to update you on where we are. So if we have a look at the standings for the overall, Dan Hunt leading the way on 3,565 points, 63 clear over Jamie Ayres, and it's Pete Newman, who is quite a long way back in third place on 3,100, not too far ahead of fourth place Jamie Wilson. It's Pete Van Gool in fifth, ahead of Ralph Cullingham, Steve Hefford, Colin Sanson, Charles Kellerman, and Tom Griffiths running out the top 10. Fiona Siddons is next, and then it's Ollie Riggs, Darren McLean, Darrell Wright, Andy Littler, Sir Alan Toon, Martin Sampson, Steve Hansford, and looking down the rest of the drivers to have scored so far in 2024. You can just scroll down, please. Roger Morton, Miles Owens, Mick Barry, John Sylvester, Evan Bremer, Craig Jones, Kelly McPherson, Arnold Chananier, Dan Dennison, Dan Lewis, Dries Neese, and Carl Hardy. On to the teams' stand-ins for 2024. If we can just get that up as well. Momo lead the way by well over 3,500 points over Result Clothing and iRacing team. It's work guard by Result in third, head of Optical Green in fourth. It's Dove Reality Sim Racing Studios in fifth, head of Team Chimera. Pure Sim Result Year 1, Safeguard by Result Clothing in ninth, and Pure Sims Sim Race Sweden Esports and Aero Kinetics rounding out all of those to have scored. In the pro stand-ins for the autumn campaign, Dan Hunt, I believe, is the one. No, it's Pete Newman, sorry, who's leading with 462 points, 17 clear over Jamie Ayres, with Pete Van Gool in third, Steve Hefford fourth, and it's Tom Griffiths, Dan Hunt. Ollie Riggs, who's recently been promoted up from AM to pro, is in seventh place, with Jamie Wilson, Ralph Cullingham, Martin Sampson, Dries Neese, and Carl Hardy, who have yet to get off the mark in the autumn. In the AMs, Colin Sanson is ahead by 21 points over Darren McLean. He's got 300 to McLean's 279. A point further back is Fiona Siddons, after her brilliant showing last week at Brands Hatches in third, ahead of Charles Kellerman. Andy Littler, Sir Alan Toon, Craig Jones, and Mick Barry are the rest of those who have scored. Arnold Chananier, Kelly McPherson, Steve Hansford, and Roger Morton, the rest yet to score. The drivers are on their fast laps in this qualifying session. That'll be 15 minutes long. The result of this will determine the grid for race number 1. There are 4 races with 15 minutes each, and there will be a reverse grid for race number 2. Not too sure how many of the grid at the top end will be reversed, but we'll find out soon enough. Race 3 is a randomised grid, and race 4 will be the reverse grid of how many there will be at the top end for that particular occasion. And so we'll speak to Dean now, who's been waiting patiently to share his thoughts on tonight. Good evening, Dean. How are you?
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world as well. Very good morning to, well, I am at the moment. You can see very foggy conditions, a little bit overcasty, no rain at the moment, partly cloudy. 22 degrees Celsius on track and 19 air temperature. So it's a bit nippy for these drivers this evening to get underway for their qualifying session, which they are, give or take, a good 5 minutes and change into. At the moment, Dan's looking good on the top of the timesheets there by Pete Newman, and we're watching at the moment there Tom Griffiths there. Traffic out here. This track is very, very narrow, isn't it? It's almost like a little back lane alleyway, isn't it, in the UK?
Yeah, it looks like something you find in your local town, which the drivers sort of filter through. But it is a narrow circuit, and in case you're wondering why Formula 1 don't race here, or even British touring cars, well, there's your answer for you. It is that narrow. It's going to make for a tricky circuit to overtake, no question. We're 6 minutes into the session. Dan Hunt's fastest, ahead of Pete Newman. Tom Griffiths, Jamie Ayres, and Steve Hefford are next. Colin Sanson fast as the AMs as we speak, and it's Charles Kellerman. Ralph Cullingham, the slowest of the pros to have set a time, with Fiona Siddons and Darren McLean running out the top 10. Sir Alan Toon, Ollie Riggs, and Jamie Wilson have still yet to post times in qualifying. The drivers are just trying to find some more tenths and even thousands of a second to improve their times.
Do you want to take us on a hot lap, my friend? So we're about to start one right now. Any driver you want, they're all bunched up.
Yep. So I think we're with Tom Griffiths, who's going to take us on a tour of this Cadwell Park circuit. So going through the sweeping left-hander of Coppice, and then you brake for a little bit for Charlie's on the right, and then you'll be heading right again for the Park Straight. You can see Griffiths is held up there by the number 46. I believe that is that Steve Hefford who's just getting on the road. Is that Pete Van Gogh? I can't quite tell. But he's got out of the way anyway. And so Griffiths is heading towards Park Corner on the brakes, second gear, 65 miles an hour before he applies the throttle, using the outside curb on the exit. And we are heading through Chris Curve. And then he'll go through Gooseneck. That is next, which is like a fast right and left chicane. And then heading towards another left-hander of Mansfield. I think that's named after the area of Mansfield, the town of Mansfield, which is situated in Lincolnshire. And he'll be heading towards a slower chicane eventually, unless he's already gone past that. I think he's gone past it anyway, and through Mountain he goes. It's an undulating part of the circuit, the most undulating part, but he's gone through there very, very nicely indeed. Going through a right and a left. This is the whole bends he's heading through. It's a slalom section of the circuit. It's going to be very tricky for these drivers. They'll have practiced this a lot because it is a new circuit for iRacing. Past Hairpin and then Barn that he's heading through now, and then down the pit straight to complete a lap of this Cadwell Park circuit. So there you go. There is a little bit of an insight of how to filter through this challenging course.
That's it's very difficult. Once again, it's the first time I had to actually download this on iRacing. I didn't own it at all. Once again, I probably have the record for the most amount of money spent on iRacing and never driven a single track. But I enjoy watching other drivers do it. They've got the headlights on at the moment too. Welcome in the chat as well. I was reading. Welcome Summer Farm Estates as well. Evening to you. And Olas, I think it's Olas. I do apologise if I get it wrong. Olas has actually just told us at the moment that he said Cadwell is formerly a motorcycle racing course, and he used to be a race marshal there. So I think he knows more about this track than practically anybody else. Give us some tips and pointers out there too. Seeing he used to be a marshal, I guess you haven't seen the cars around here before, Olas, out there. But what do you expect all the carnage and action to be?
Well, it's perhaps going to be through the slalom section, especially at the start of the race. I mean, they'll settle in because it's not a long race, and if you get it all wrong, you're probably going to end up in the barriers one way or another and potentially taking other drivers with you. So I think the drivers just need to make sure that they don't make too many mistakes. They'll have practiced the course a lot throughout tonight. I mean, some of them even nearly made it about 100 laps worth of practice, so they'll be using that to good effect here. Tom Griffiths is fastest so far, ahead of Dan Hunt. So he's done well to find all the time that he has got. But we're looking at Jamie Ayres, who's trying to get a toe on the straight. Now, does he improve his time and go up the order? He did improve his time by quite a bit, but it was not enough to move up from 4th place behind Pete Newman. Is Jamie Ayres. We've got 8 drivers in Pro competing tonight and 5 in the AMs. Those who are new, the pros are labelled in yellow and those in blue are the AMs. Ignore the red indication next to Jamie Ayres as you're looking at. That's just the driver we are focused on. Jamie Ayres is a pro, so that you now not get too confused. But we've got 4.5 minutes to go. Drivers still finding time, including Sir Alan Team, who's gone green in all of the sectors, but that's because his time that he's posted so far is an unrepresentative one. Hopefully he'll be able to drastically improve on that as he's heading towards the last corner of Barn. He is further on around the course, is Sir Alan Team, so we'll see what time he's posted. He'll probably stay 13th as he heads over the line now. And he remains in 13th position, but at least he's got the gap, well, the time down, but not quite a long way. But there you go, Dean. Who are you looking out for? Because there's still drivers trying to improve. They think they can find more time even on old tyres.
Keep an eye on Pete Newman. He's just at the fastest middle sector as he's flying this car around here. Look at it. He's just attacking it. I was going to say that's a little bit too much there. As Pete lifts it up too much, no more tyres touching the track with that one, and unfortunately spins. So that potential pole position could have been out the door there as he was just chucking it into every corner. And Olas out there mentions that the corners are all slippery, and the gooseneck as well as Charles 4 is fun as it gets damp. Sorry, I'm looking at my iPad over here because I haven't got my other monitor set up yet.
Jamie Wilson's gone up to 5th place in his machine, ahead of Charles Killerman, who's fastest so far out of all the AMs. It was Colin Sanson earlier who's in the pits. and I don't think he's going to make it back out on circuit. Once the time does reach 0, the session will automatically end. So you really want to be on circuit right now if you're going to have a chance of getting a faster time in there. We're looking at Jamie Ayres, but we've come away from Ayres. This is Sir Alan Toon, who is looking to improve. It's green in sector 1, yellow in sector 2, going through the right-hander of the hairpin, and then the last right-hander of Barn, which is rather nice, actually. And then it's a sprint to the line. Does Sir Alan Toon improve from before? I'm sure he did improve his time. And he goes, well, he stays 13th, but he parks it up, and so that'll be the end of his qualifying session. And I don't think we are seeing any more improvements unless Jamie Wilson has something to say on that.
Yeah, he's the only one at the moment that has any green. Greens or purples are good, obviously. Yellow, orange just means yellows. That's you haven't improved on the time. Oh, power slide through there. That's catching a few of the drivers off. It's almost like a rally car, isn't it, for Jamie? Trying desperately at the moment to push himself up a little bit further. I don't think he'd be challenging for pole position at the moment, but he's certainly looking to improve. And one person who is improving, Pete Newman, now fastest middle sector. Charles has got the fastest third sector, pushes his way up to P6. Looks like somebody's replaced that purple sector as well too, but Pete Newman's actually just pulled into pit road, so
yeah,
might be
he has,
all she wrote.
Yeah, he's gone in as Pete Newman. I'd have thought he would have gone and completed that lap, but he decided not to. So we're into the last sort of phase of qualifying now. Tom Griffiths is on a lap, but he's down in sector 1, as is Jamie Ayres. Charles Kellerman is going through sector 1 himself, unless he's headed back to the pits. Jamie Wilson is on another lap. I don't think it's representative anyway. Steve Hefford is down. I think this is pretty much going to be the grid for race number 1, Dean, because Tom Griffiths fastest by a couple of cents over Dan Hunt. Pete Newman, the leader of the Pro Championship in the autumn campaign, aiming for a strong result. Looking at last week's results at Brands Hatch, I'll get my results up. I mean, Pete Newman had a difficult time last week, even though he got a podium out of it in race 1 with a 2nd place. He had 2 difficult races in races 2 and 4. But if you look at Dan Hunt, who got 2 wins, a 5th and a 6th, it's game on in that reckoning.
Game on. I like it. I love it. Qualifying, 17 seconds to change to go. I'm not quite sure. Yes, he will get this lap done here from Jamie. No, pulls into pit road. Realises he didn't have enough time to improve. Fiona, maybe. Where is she currently at the moment? Work hard by result. Machine. Has she got enough time to get around the corner? No, unfortunately not. So she'll start at P12.
And so qualifying has concluded, and it will be Tom Griffiths starting on pole, 2 tenths clear over Dan Hunt in 2nd place. If we can just get the grid up now, Dean, if you can do, and then we'll quickly run down and get the race underway, because I'm sure the drivers will be very quick. Tom Griffiths on pole, at Dan Hunt alongside Pete Newman and Jamie Ayres next on road 2. Jamie Wilson 5th, ahead of Charles Kellerman, the highest of the AMs in 6th. Ralph Cullen and Steve Hefford in 7th and 8th on road 4. Then it's Darren McLean, Ollie Ricks rounding out the top 10. Colin Sanson, Fiona Siddons and Sir Alan Toon make up the 13-car grid. Well, we are raring to go now. We're just waiting on a few drivers to get on to the grid. I think we're waiting on Pete Newman and Charles Kellerman. And it shouldn't be too long before we see them on there. And it'll be race number 1 getting underway. It looks like the drivers are starting on slicks. I think they are the tyres to be on. Yeah, they're all on dries. We're just waiting for Charles Kellerman to get on to the grid now. And we'll kickstart race number 1 this evening. Do make sure you like and subscribe if you can. Whilst you are watching the racing, and hopefully we'll hear from you on how the drivers are getting on. Let us know who you are rooting for as well, by the way, because I'm sure some of you will be there to watch your drivers perform. 5 lights are coming on now, Dean, and when they go, we're racing for the first time tonight. Lights are on, lights are off, and Tom Griffiths gets off to a super start ahead of Dan Hunt. Pete Newman looking to tuck in behind the pair, and Jamie Ayres has got Jamie Wilson for company as they head towards the first left-hander of Coppice, and Griffiths getting off to a super start, maintaining the advantage as they head towards the right-hander of Charlie's. It's a double right-hander before they get through there, but Tom Griffiths is getting off to a good start. Ralph Cullinan has gone round in the background. We'll come to him in a moment, but Dan Hunt is in 2nd place behind Griffiths, as Griffiths pulls away clear. Jamie Wilson is behind Jamie Ayres. Charles Cullinan maintaining his position as the highest of the AMs. And apart from Ralph Cullinan going round, it seems to be a very clean start, Dean.
Very, very, absolutely. So a few more gators. Well, everybody's gained from P7 downward, but just Ralph having a little bit of a spinner early. But so far, so good. And let's see if they can start navigating this tricky new circuit iRacing.
Yeah, and they're heading towards the quick chicane there on the exit after Mansfield, I believe that is. And now, oh, that's Gooseneck, sorry. This is Mansfield that they're going through, and they'll be past the chicane of what I thought it would be. I think we're using a slightly different configuration to what I'm looking at. But this is mountain section they're heading through now. There is Griffiths, there is Hunt, Newman, Ayres, Wilson. Hopefully we'll see a bit more, a little bit of overtaking later on. But I doubt that the draft is going to be that effective. We're looking at the start, and this is Ralph Cullinan, who I think is going to be tapped round. I think is this Steve Hefford who's running into him at on the exit copies. You can just see Cullinan going off. I want to maybe see whether he got a tap from behind by the Momo of Steve Hefford, but it wasn't too major for Cullinan. He's back on circuit anyway. Here's another angle. This will be a better viewpoint of what actually caused him to go off. It was just the slightest of nudges, to be honest with you. Hefford was too close to stop himself from running into Cullinan there, so that'll go down as a racing incident. Griffiths ahead of Hunt, who is refusing to allow Griffiths to shoot off into the distance. We're on the second lap already, and Hunt is fighting for the win, the first win of tonight. He's heading to the outside, and I believe this is into the right-hander of Park, and it'll be Chris Curve next, but Griffiths is holding his ground and maintaining the lead.
Wow. I didn't think we get to see many overtakes around here, of course, because they've been doing their qualifying sessions of practice. And so even on this narrow, twisty track, it is possible, and Tom's just proved that P1 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunt in second, Newman as Wilson, and it's Hefford who's a bit further adrift from these lot. Charles Kellerman and Darren McLean in their own tussle, but Hunt going for it again, trying to gives Griffiths a hard time of it. They go up the hill of Mountain and through the hole bends that they'll be entering now, and hopefully they'll get through here without any drama. Griffiths a little bit out of shape there, but Hunt is not able to make his move just yet. It's a little bit too far back. Fiona Siddons has had a moment somewhere, and she's continued. And heading through Barn, and it seems like they've got a good grip on the course, but overtaking it's going to be quite difficult compared to other circuits.
And look how tricky it is, like, as we're riding shotgun at the moment with Dan. You can't see, you can barely see the corner coming up, can't you? The car's completely blocking half of it. So when you get to spot your apexes and then into the chicanes, you just really, most of the time, you're going to be driving the other car behind you, using them as a racing line, because you can't see anything.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult, and given how foggy it is as well, it might prove a little tricky. And sometimes we do see rain that hit the circuit between races, so there's that to look out for. Hunt thinking about a move to the outside, but Griffiths is always going to leave the door closed. But we've got Wilson also attempting to get through on Jamie Ayres, but there's just no way through just yet. And here we go, another take of the battle between Griffiths and Hunt through the right-hander. And then the left, that's the quick chicane there that they've head through of Gooseneck.
Is that
and
rain?
Yeah, I don't think that is rain. I can't see. Oh, wait, maybe it is rain.
I saw some drops there.
Looking...
I don't know if it was just me.
Well, I'm just looking because I'm looking on the timing page at the moment. And no one is on full wets at the moment. We saw Fiona Siddons and Sir Alan Toon come into the pits. I don't know if they've come together, those two, but Fiona Siddons is back on track now. And it looks like Tom Griffiths is okay at the moment. I think even if the rain does hit, I don't think it's going to be enough to prompt the drivers to make the switch to wets, but it's going to make it more tricky than expected. I can't really see any major raindrops at the moment, but we'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses. Hunt thinking about a move on Griffiths this time around, heading towards Coppice for the fourth time in this race. 10 minutes to go in race number 1 in the UK SimRacers Championship of 2024 in the autumn season. You can see Hunt trying to find a different line compared to Griffiths so that he can get a good run on him on the Park straight before the right-hander of Park and then the Chris curve. And this is going to be quite a feat we are seeing throughout tonight involving these drivers.
Yeah, look at it fighting the car. You barely have a break of a steering wheel pointing straight very often around here, so you're definitely going to earn your paychecks this evening for racing around here. So this, I'm pretty sure a lot of drivers are going to win this, want to win at least one of these heats and sprint races currently at the moment. We're in the chat there. Good luck to all. Good evening as well too for Del Wright. And is there a Discord server for this league? Yeah, I'll try to get you some of that information in a little bit as well too. Of course, it's the UkSimracers. Maybe in the description. If it's not, I'll see if I can get a link out there. But look at this, Dan! Man, going through the roller coaster section of this track. Car's lifted up. You even feel it like a roller coaster, doesn't it? Your heart's dropping through your stomach.
Yeah, finding time anywhere possible. They are very much acclimatized to this circuit now. That's how hard they are pushing. Griffiths and Hunt pulling away from Newman, Ayres and Wilson, who are in their own ding-dong battle. Steve Hefford 3 seconds back from Wilson. Charles Kellerman is 2.5 seconds clear over Darren McLean in the fight for the AM victory. Colin Sanson completes the podium there as it stands, with Fiona Siddons a long way back. They'll keep going, Will Siddons and soon, just in case anything happens to Kellerman, McLean and Sanson, and they can get an AM podium out of it after all. Hunt on the tail of Griffiths again, and will he go for it on the blue liveried machine as they go through the park straight, and it'll be the right-hander of Park. McLean has had a spin somewhere. He's dropped down the order behind Sanson and Cullinan. Hunt to the outside of Griffiths, but Griffiths is able to hold his ground. Will they continue to will he continue to hold his ground through the right-hander of the Chris curve? It looks like he has for the time being. Hunt with his nose in front through the gooseneck chicane, and Hunt is not quite there. Nearly spinning round there. He's gone round as Dan Hunt into the wall.
Well. First casualty of good dill banging. And you just saw it live. We'll go back and have a look at a replay of that from the chopper cam and see. Look at this dill banging. 2-1's not going to work. Where did it all go pole shaped? Actually, just on the chicane himself, actually. So there wasn't contact.
No, there was no contact at all. It was just that Dan Hunt got out of shape. But when the ground drops there, the car loses balance, and it can really upset the rhythm of the machine. And that's what Dan Hunt tried to correct, but ended up spinning by himself there. It's a shame, but he's got time to recover from that, but not a lot of time. We've only got 7 minutes to go. They're going over the line now to complete lap number 5, I think they've done now. This is lap 6 that they are doing. And this has been a very good race from Tom Griffiths, a very well managed one of that. And he is looking very good for the victory. And Pete Newman in second place, Jamie Ayres, Jamie Wilson and Steve Hefford in the top 5. Charles Kellerman still the leader of the AMS. Dan Hunt down in 7th place and 6th in class, determined to make up for lost time. Griffiths may feel that he's got a solid opportunity to win this one, but it's far from sealed.
Oh, no, not considering you got this gaggle of cars down to Jamie Wilson and P4. Then you have a 5-second gap to Steve Hefford. So that's where it's all at, and he's got Kellerman and Hunt behind him, and we know Dan Hunt was quite quick at battling it up front over time before that little moment. So let's see how it pans out. Lap 6, we're 5 minutes into this one, and that's the top 4.
Brilliant dice we are seeing here. Some of you may think it's a procession, but it's not exactly a procession as far as this course is concerned. We have been seeing the battle between Griffiths and Hunt throughout most of this one, until Hunt went for his spin. And he's trying to make up for lost time. He's behind Charles Kellerman, actually, is Hunt, and he'll be wanting to just get by him as quickly as he can, but not quite like that as he goes through the slalom section. That was almost another spin for Dan, but he's able to keep the car points in the right way and through barn corner, and he actually backed out of it there. I don't know what happened to Hunt there. I don't know whether he selected the wrong gear, but he's dropped back considerably from Kellerman, and he's going to be losing even more time.
Yeah, exactly. And he's the only one, I mean, himself and Tom, the only ones that really have done some overtakes this evening. Most of the battles have been between him, and it looks like Ollie's come off track there. Colin Sampson may have had a moment too. But further up in the field there, Jamie Wilson thinking, okay, I followed Jamie, the battle of the Jamies, Jamie Ayres and Jamie Wilson. And Jamie Wilson piling up pressure big time, but still can't find a way around.
Well, Wilson is looking for a gap, but there isn't quite one there, but he won't find a gap by going onto the grass. take your foot off the throttle, Jamie, and you'll be fine. And he did take his foot off the throttle to make sure the car was able to roll back onto the circuit properly. And so he remains in 4th position, but he does lose ground to Jamie Ayres. And the fight for the lead is raging on once more between Tom Griffiths and Pete Newman. And this is going to get tasty in the closing stages here. We're on lap 7, 4 minutes to go. I believe we will have 3 more laps of race number 1 here. And you can just see Griffiths taking his line. Newman trying to find a slightly different line, almost running into the rear of Griffiths, entering the hairpin. And this is going to go on till the checkered flag. There's no doubt about that. Griffiths fighting for all his worth. Griffiths, in case you didn't know, has already won races this season. And just trying to find how many he has won in the... Oh no, he's yet to pick up a win in the autumn campaign, but he has won in the past in UK SimRacers in 2024. But I want to get his first win on the board in round number 4 and the 13th race of the autumn campaign.
Brilliant racing. You can see at the moment Pete has the fastest lap of 34.44 recurring. And he is thinking about it at the moment. Sending up a little, just filling up Tom's mirrors to say, hey, I'm here. I'm batting for you. If you want the you got that 1 on the car, but I want P1 in the first heat. And we'll see what he can do at the moment. But time is ticking.
3 minutes remaining. Griffiths under attack. Newman, nothing to lose at the moment, but he's got Jamie Ayres a whole second behind. Jamie Wilson will be back in his own battle very, very shortly. Dan Hunt is already through on Steve Hefford and Charles Kellerman, so that you know, so he's back up into 5th place, but he won't have time to catch up to the top 4. And you can just see the riding the curbs and riding the gradient there.
Right in the air.
It's almost like old, yeah, it's almost like old times, isn't it?
And it just what a save before that we saw from Jamie, but it's like it's like a golf cart track, like a golf cart little laneway. It's so narrow around here, and you can easily get out on the into the kitty litter or onto the grass more than in the kitty litter. So let's see, as the foggy conditions, drivers aren't too bad, as you can see down on the track. They can actually see up the road, but of course for Pete, all you got is a windscreen full of a big blue number 1 car.
Yeah, and Griffiths doing his best to hold his position ahead of Newman. He's doing all he needs to do. Newman, as we saw time and time again, he's already won 3 races this season. He won in race 1 in Snetterton, and he won in races 1 and 4 in Donington, but he didn't win last week. He only came away with 1 podium finish to his name, and that allowed other drivers to close in a little in the championship standings in that reckoning. And so Newman wants to get another victory, but Griffiths will want to get his first of the autumn, and that'll kickstart his even sweetly as he'll want. But we've got a battle for the lead, and we've also got a battle for the final podium position in Pro.
Yeah, and for the chat, thank you very much, Daryl Wright, for handling all that sort of information. There's the Discord link as well. As you get on a motorbike, that's what it's all about. It certainly is a motorbike track, you can see it at the moment. But they're throwing the MXs around it. Pete's trying to throw his way past Tom. Tom holding on to perhaps get the Heat 1 victory. Yeah,
Griffiths holding on for all he can ahead of Newman. Newman get a good run on the exit of Barn all the way to Coppis. I mean, Coppis is a fast left-hander anyway, so it might not be the best place for him to get the overtake done. There is the white flag. It's going to be way for the leaders. Griffiths and Newman start their final lap of the race, and this battle is going to go right all the way to the end. Fiona Siddons is someone that they'll be coming up to shortly, so hopefully she won't be intervening what's happening here. Coming through Charlie's and onto the Park Straight, and there we see. We'll have a look at where Newman is. There is his tucked up right behind Griffiths, heading for Park Corner in a moment. There is Fiona Siddons up ahead. Newman looking to the outside of Griffiths. Can he outbrake him? He can. Griffiths having to take a tighter line on entry, but he maintains the advantage over Pete Newman. And this is going to be a very tough call now for Newman to make his lunge. That was probably his last chance gone. But he may send it into the hairpin or barn corner if he's feeling lucky. I think Fiona Siddons should be okay from here in terms of these two fighting. I don't think they're going to catch up to Siddons. So it should be a free run for these two to the end. And what's been a brilliant first race, brilliant battles all the way through towards the top end in Pro and in Am. There's the battle for behind Newman, nearly dropping it on the exit of the mountain. And that's all the buffer that Tom Griffiths needs in order to hold him off for the remainder of the first race here at Cadwell Park in the UK SimRacers Championship. Tom Griffiths through the hairpin for the last time. One more corner to get through, which is Barn. And he's going to hold off Pete Newman, and he'll take the first race win of the evening. Tom Griffiths wins for the first time in the autumn campaign in the UK SimRacers Championship. He holds off Pete Newman by half a second. Jamie Ayres completes the podium in Pro ahead of Jamie Wilson and Dan Hunt. Steve Hevered in 6th place. Charles Kellerman 7th overall, and the winner in the Am class. Ralph Cullen and Ollie Ricks are the last of those in Pro to finish. Darren McLean and Colin Sanson complete the podium in Am. Fiona Siddons, the last driver, will be to finish Sir Alan Toon in the pits and won't be taking the checkered flag. It was quite an intense ending, but Tom Griffiths held his nerve, maintained his composure whilst being under pressure, and he took a well-deserved victory.
And on top of it, well, it's been a sweaty one because he's had the pressure from the start. It hasn't been an easy ride. It's concentration level through the roof. His drivers is going to have some fun off-track excursions. But it feels it's even better, isn't it? Just pressure, pressure, pressure. Always had to look at his mirrors. Always had an attack. Of course, he was exchanging positions with Dan. Well, Pete Newman was exchanging positions, of course, with Dan at the front at the start of the race as well, too. So it's just been brilliant. It's going to be a big, big smile on Tom's face for that one. It's only one race, too. There's still more to come.
It was a solid result for Tom Griffiths. They'll be delighted with that. We're just waiting for Fiona Siddons to head over the line now, and we'll run down on the result for race number 1. I don't know for certain what the reverse grid is going to be in terms of how many of the top runners will line up where, but we'll find out in a moment. And so we'll run down on the race result. Tom Griffiths winning out by half a second over Pete Newman. Jamie Ayres 3rd, ahead of Jamie Wilson. It's Dan Hunt in 5th place. Steve Hefford 6th, and it's Charles Killerman, Ralph Cullen and Ollie Ricks, and Darren McLean running out the top 10. Colin Sanson and Fiona Siddons. The rest are not finished. Sir Alan Toon retired just before the end. Charles Killerman won out in the AMs with Darren McLean and Colin Sanson completing the podium. A brilliant first race, and we'll find out in a moment what the reverse grid will be. And so the drivers will just be in their warm-up session, just to maybe give a little bit more mileage. We'll find out where they'll line up for race number 2.
Yeah, we have a little 5-minute warm-up session at the moment, so I believe so. Until that full warm-up session is done and dusted, we will then find out about the grid. So we'll probably take a quick little breather. Everybody else who's watching, thank you all much for tuning in at the moment. 13 or so in change. And get up, have a stretch, have a bit of a breather. Drivers are probably doing the same thing as well too, because it's going to get sweaty and it's going to get difficult and it's going to get tough, but it's going to be fun for the reverse grid race coming up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom Griffiths will be hoping to build on that race 1 result. Dan Hunt will be edging to recover after that spin that he had, and having to settle for 5th place. And so he'll be aiming to redeem himself when race 2 comes around. So we're into the warm-up session, Dean, but can we see an improvement from any of the drivers in the second race?
Well, they're going to have to do some overtaking, which is not an easy thing to do. So that's, I think, what you're going to start seeing. Maybe a little bit more late sends into some of the very limited places that you can do. There's no heavy braking zones really around here, so you've just got to basically ginger it with the throttle there and try to send one up the inside somewhere along those lines. It's very difficult. Don't have a replay to go back, unfortunately, and have a look at those crucial places where they were doing some of those overtakes. So, because we've already advanced the session, but, you know, that's probably it for it, I could say.
We'll have a look at the drivers in the warm-up session. We can get rid of the classification for now, Dean. Drivers just determined to just find more time and just find where they are losing time. So it's good to see that Elias 2K9 coming in saying that he's worked as a track marshal there, which is fantastic to know. But Cadwell Park is known for its superbike racing, I believe. Let me just have a look on that, because I know there's different motorcycle championships in the UK that do contest around the country. So if it's not true. And it sounds like you were a little bit astonished by something there, Dean.
Oh, yeah, Dan's
look,
just flying the flying machine around there, because he's probably... This is the good thing about the practice session. They're probably absolutely pushing it to the limit because there's nothing to lose in practice session. So I'm curious to see, because they're trying to find a little bit more grip in this track that perhaps as it's evolving, to see how it pans out. Let's have a look at the weather again, just to see if it's changed too much. Well, it's just increased by about 1 degree for track temperature, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 21 or 22 before, so give or take. The same, air temperature's the same at 19. I'm going to... Not the prettiest to do as Dan's mowing the grass. Thank you, Dan. You missed a spot. Come back around here. And so I've got about 1 acre of land. You can mow my lawn too, Dan, if you want. Just bring that MX car over here for me, please. I'm going to do this because it's not the prettiest show, but this is the weather that is in iRacing. And you can see light fog, light fog, light fog. No rain. So there's the radar loop. The track is not very good. You can see the little track there, but this guy's there, at least. Track is dry.
I mean, it is foggy around Cadwell Park, but that's pretty accurate because it's been foggy over where I am today. We've had a lot of rain over the last couple of days, but it's the autumn. What do you expect?
Yeah, and you guys don't see sun very often in the UK, do you? Like, it's the opposite here. We get too much of the sun. And so I'm in the skin cancer capital of the world. And
we do get sun. We do get sun.
You
a lot
don't
of sun
get
from
sun in the UK. Come on.
we
Only
get
inside
sun
when you turn a light bulb on.
Well, we get sun pretty much all the time in the spring and the summer, so don't discount us by any means. It's just that we're on the other side of the world to where you are, Dean. So that pretty much explains it.
And
but
they're wrapping it up right now for the practice.
Yeah, they are coming towards the end of the warm-up session. There is Charles Kellerman, and who's just made his way back into the pits. We'll run down on the reverse grid then, and I can tell you that it's Colin Sanson. He'll be on reverse grid pole. It'll be the top 11 from race number 1 that has been reversed. Sanson on pole ahead of Darren McLean alongside Ollie Ricks and Ralph Cullen on next ahead of Charles Kellerman and Steve Hefford. Dan Hunt and Jamie Wilson are on row 4 ahead of Jamie Ayres and Pete Newman. Tom Griffiths, the race winner from race number 1, is 11th alongside Fiona Siddons. So Alan Toon making up the 13-car grid. And so the drivers very, very quickly raring to go. The fog seems to have disappeared somewhat, so the visibility should be better for the drivers, but the lights are coming on now, and we are gearing up for race number 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lights are on. Lights are off very quickly. Once again, Colin Sanson blasting off ahead of Darren McLean with Ollie Ricks looking to capitalise on his 3rd position and highest of the pros as they come towards Coppice for the first time. And Sanson maintaining the advantage. No one making any drastic moves so far. Steve Evan moving in front of Charles Kellerman, entering Charlie's. And we've got the drivers heading through the second right-hander of Charlie's. It'll be the Park Straight coming up. And it looks like, again, the drivers behaving themselves. But Darren McLean looking to the outside of Colin Sanson, going towards Park Corner. And will he be able to outbrake Sanson into there? It's going to be very difficult for him to have the high ground on the exit. McLean round the outside, but remarkably gets in front of Colin Sanson, as does Ralph Cullinan. Ralph Cullinan somehow has got himself into the lead in the pros.
Amazing. We'll go back and we'll replay that one a little bit later on if we get a chance. But we thought it was difficult to overtake her out here. Darren McLean says, really? Let me show you how to get it done.
Well, there we go. Darren McLean licking the stamp and sending it and getting into P1 on the opening lap. Ralph Cullinan in the pro. He had a difficult start in race number 1, but he seems to have redeemed himself so far in the second race. There'll be a long way to go yet, but I think on a course like this... Oh, there's a car spinning round! That is Ollie Ricks, who was running towards the top end, and it looks like his race is over in the wall for Ollie Ricks there. That's terrible for him. I don't know who ran into him, but either way, Ricks' race is finished before the first lap is even done.
Wow. Uh-oh. Let's have a look at really quickly for that super maneuver. Here's Darren. Well, Dazza. As you can see, there's the gaggle of cars. And just keep it around the outside. Job done.
There was actually contact on the exit of Park Corner between the pair of them, which is the reason why Sanson had lost momentum. But it's nothing in comparison to what happened to Ollie Riggs there. There's Steve Heather nearly dropping it on the exit of Charlie's. That allowed Dan Hunt and potentially Jamie Ayres to get through, and even Jamie Wilson. Hefford losing 3 positions there thanks to that small mistake. And he's not had the best time of it in race number 2, but somehow is able to outbrake Jamie Ayres into the corner, albeit briefly. And Steve Hefford is all over the place on the second lap.
Yeah, we're still putting in the right direction at least, because it could have been a lot worse than that. And not a lot of space around here. As you can see, Jamie had to lift off, going to carry so much more speed as you go down a hill. Look at the battling up the road. That's that's Darren.
Darren McLean's off. Yeah, Darren McLean's off the track at the left-hander of Mansfield, and he has fallen down the order drastically. And that hands the lead over to Ralph Cullinan ahead of Dan Hunt, who'll be looming him down quicker than Ralph Cullinan can ever imagine. But that was a bad mistake there by Darren McLean, not what he needed. And that hands the AM lead over to Colin Sanson, who's now got a buffer between himself and Charles Killerman, who's the next AM back.
Well, the sun's come out right now, and it certainly has brightened up these drivers' fighting spirits at the moment. That's Jamie Wilson in the defence.
Yeah, Wilson spinning around on the exit of the hairpin. I don't know if he's damaged the car. He'll get going again, allowing the traffic to get through. But another dismal race for Jamie Wilson goes from bad to worse for him. So 2 pro drivers in the wars, but Ralph Cullen, not having such trouble so far, has got Dan Hunt right on his tail, but can Cullinan hold him off this time for victory?
Oh, well, at the moment, you can see both of them going into the grass, using as much of the track as possible. Dan is really on the hunt. No pun intended. He's just quick. And look at that. He sees an opportunity in the narrowest of narrows. Hits the braking point. You got to swing it to the right. Keep it on the track. Not just quite yet. See, Ralph was battling right now. There's Ralph's off.
Yeah, Dan Hunt missing out as well. That hands the lead over to Jamie Ayres. Cullinan will be absolutely furious with the contact between himself and Dan Hunt. He's lost the lead, has dropped well down the order. Ayres is in front now, ahead of Dan Hunt. Steve Hefford up to 3rd place despite running wide. Colin Sanson is under attack also from Pete Newman and Tom Griffiths. He's looking to make his way through the field after succeeding in race number 1. Sanson having to hold off. He won't take too many risks, knowing that he is leading the AM class.
This is an absolutely brilliant race. You can't even look away for a second. We can't even get a chance to look at a replay. And we have a lot to go back and have a reflect on at the moment. But the battles are just resuing at the moment. Pete Newman, Tom Griffiths here, Colin Sampson. He's dropped 5 places in that reverse grid. It's all situation. Jamie Ayres, of course, now in the lead there. But James Hunt, of course, Dan Hunt's going to keep him very much in check. Wow. We still have... How much time? I don't even see how much time has gone by already. It is just exciting. Nobody is safe on this track right now.
No, and neither is Dan Hunt. He's not untouchable, is Dan, and neither is Jamie Ayres. We know how these two can battle. They have done so time and time again in the UK SimRacers Championship this year, and they better prepare for battle once more, and they are doing so. Ayres has got Hunt behind, looking to pull out alongside, nearly contact made. That was almost like front bumper and rear bumper, making a magnet connection. Hunt on the inside, and that was a textbook overtake, but he needs to watch for Ayres alongside through the right-hander of Chris Curve, and they'll be coming up towards Gooseneck next. And will Ayres find his way back through? Hunt is able to hold him off. This is where he spun around last time. He pushes Ayres out onto the grass, and Ayres needs to outbrake him if he's to get a good exit out of Mansfield. And it looks like he may well do, but it's Hunt who's going to have the left-hander, the inside to himself, unless Ayres makes an absolute dive for it, but he has to yield this time. Dan Hunt taking the lead of the race ahead of Jamie Ayres as they head towards the silent section once more towards the end of lap number 4.
It's almost 2 abreast the whole track, and there's not many tracks on anywhere in the world that you can get 2 abreast on for the whole thing. That's just amazing, and that's not all she wrote between those two, that's for sure. They're going to continue, and meanwhile that battling that they have done has now brought the other 3 cars in the background into play, so we now have a 5-horse race for this win.
it's game on between these 5. Hunt, Ayres, Newman, Hefford and Griffiths, nose to tail, gunning for the race to victory before we go to a short break. But we've got a huge fight on our hands of Hunt, Ayres, Newman, Hefford and Griffiths. And just a little bit of a gap between the pair of them, but that can close down very, very quickly. 8 minutes to go on that number 5. We expect it to be a 10-lap race again here. Charles Kellerman, the leader of the AM class, has got Ralph Cullinan right behind, who is desperate to make up for lost time. And here he is, look, Cullinan on the inside of Kellerman into Park Corner, and that is him through. But is Kellerman going to fight back? I wouldn't have thought so, because he doesn't need to. His focus now is going to be on Colin Sanson, who is in a fight of his own with Darren McLean.
Yeah. Darren, of course, that was leading this race at the start there. Is going to have to fight his way back through the field here. A lot of the drivers have to do that. There is a few steaming helmets, no doubt. So you can see that up the road too. As Ralphie and Charles Kellyman will be fat burning that, as you said. Kellyman, the best of the AEMs currently at the moment. And Jamie Wilson and Ollie have retired from this session.
Yeah, Wilson and Ricks going no further. It was a shame for both of them. Ricks in the wall after contact with someone on the exit of the mountain. I don't know if we can get a replay of that as the race continues to settle down. But what a race we've had so far in race 2. We've certainly seen more than what we had in race number 1. Griffiths is closer to Hefford than the top 3 are to each other. We're looking at Darren McLean here. I think this is going to be the contact between him and Ralph Cullinan here. In fact, Darren McLean, this was earlier on in the race. He went off and was very lucky to stay out of the wall and keep going as he is. But that cost him the lead in the AM class as a consequence. And he's now back in the fight with Colin Sanson and Charles Kellerman. This is a replay also of the collision between Ralph Cullinan and Dan Hunt at Park Corner. And you can just see Dan Hunt was able to outbrake himself, but Cullinan was not able to leave him enough room before goosenecks.
Yeah, it didn't seem there wasn't a lot in it, and you're going to expect that door banging around here. This is Charles. This is probably just a little bit of an off-track excursion into the kiddie litter out there, and just comes back, and they're still very lucky to regain that position.
Yeah, well, he's done well to keep it on the grass there as Charles Kellerman. This is the battle once more for the lead. Hunt, Ayres and Newman close together. Between these 3, it's going to be, well, if there's anyone's going to be winning this race, it's unlikely it's going to be Tom Griffiths, because he's well back from these 4, unless we see an absolute catastrophe involving Hunt, Ayres and Newman. Ralph Cullinan has dropped down the order on the exit of the mountain. We'll find out what happens to him in a moment. But Hunt is able to hold off Ayres and Newman. You can just see the gap coming down to less than half a second as they start the 7th lap here at Cadwell Park. Just over 5 minutes remaining. And it looks like Ralph Cullinan has picked up significant damage, and his race is finally over.
Yeah, he's gone off track somewhere. We'll quickly have a look at that. That's probably caused this for the Irishman, the number 32. It looks like he's coming into the corner here, no problem. Stripped it down there, and that's a fence right there. Bang. And, well, it doesn't look that much, but obviously you can feel it in the car and has elected to retire. Pete's got past Jamie. Well, not quite yet.
Yeah. Well, he's not through on Ayres just yet, because Ayres will have the inside line for the right-hander of Parks, but Newman has got the overtake completed. Super overtake from Pete Newman. He must have got a very strong exit on the exit of Charlie's all the way down the Park straight before the right-hander, and that is Newman through into 2nd place, and it's thanks to a mistake from Ayres as he got onto the grass.
Yeah, James Parfitt would say, if you leave the door open, my friend, you'll get burgled, and that was a burgled position at the moment, Pete, as you said, P2. He's got to hunt down Dan, the man, leading this one.
Yeah, Dan in front of Pete as they head through Mountain Corner, riding the curves on the apex. And this is the Hull Bends, I believe it's called, as they head through here. And it will be the right-hander of the hairpin. There is Colin Sanson, who's got in front of Charles Kellerman in the race for the AM victory.
Let's have a look at that. It may have been a mistake there, because that looked all too easy. No. Oh, hang on. I thought there was a lift off there. Oh, there's going to be a classic overtaking place, is it? Oh, there's a little pudge door. Completely caught Charles sleeping on that one, didn't it? And takes position.
I'm surprised Kellerman left the door open as wide as he did, because Sanson just got through on him rather easily, and that was like taking candy from a baby as far as that battle is concerned. But Sanson is now into the lead in the AM class. and he's looking good for victory there. And we've got these three fighting for the overall victory. And in pro, Hunt leading Newman, leading Ayres. Griffiths is a few seconds further back in 4th place, ahead of Steve Heaven, who's another 3.5 seconds back. We'll go back to the battle in the AMs. Sanson, Kellerman, McLean, and Siddons isn't too far back either. She could well get an AM podium out of this. Remember, last week, Fiona Siddons was able to win in the AM class in that wet weather race where she was able to choose the correct tyres to be on throughout the event, and she was able to come away with the AM victory, a rare AM victory for herself. But you never know, she could get another one before this season is over.
Yeah.
But what about the battle in the pro class? Hunt, leading Newman, leading Ayres. We've got 2 more laps to go at the end of this one, and Hunt seems to have this one in his pocket, but it's far from over.
Tom's got clear air down the road there, so he's got to start putting in some banker laps. His last lap was a 34.5. The other drivers are doing 34s, 3s, so as Dan set the fastest lap. So Tom got to catch him by 2 seconds is a lot. And just taking candy from a baby, A, who takes candy from a baby? And B, who'd be feeding candy to a baby anyway? I know it's an old saying, but we need to, yeah.
Well, I'll leave that for the Americans to decide on that. But Dan Hunt is ahead of Newman and Ayres as they begin the penultimate lap through Charlie's and down the park straight once again. The battle for the AM class is getting increasingly interesting now because Kellerman is all over the back of Sanson going through Charlie's themselves. McLean and Siddons are waiting to pick up the pieces should there be something occurring involving Sanson and Kellerman, and we could well get it here. Sanson did not get a very good exit out of Charlie's, and that will allow Kellerman to pull alongside and outbrake Sanson entering the right-hander, but Sanson is going to have the inside line for the corner, and that is him able to fend him off for now as McLean closes in on these two as time is running out.
But the racing thrill and action is not well to run out too, unfortunately, but we will have more after a little break. There's Darren McLean as well too, also joining that party. Dan Hunt still leading, Pete Newman still applying some pressure, and the 2 different races, of course, the AM class and the pro class that's happening at the moment. Let's see. Thank you all for tuning in as well too.
Yep, and if you have tuned in, we do welcome you. Let us know who you are rooting for, and do make sure you like and subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. We are covering all the rounds of the UK SimRacers Championship in 2024, as we have been since spring, as we have been for the last couple of years as well, with all the drivers competing and signing up, which is fantastic to see. You can see the white flag being waved with 10 seconds to go, and this will be the final lap then for the leaders. Oh, in fact, that's the AMs we're looking at. The leaders are already on their final lap. Newman looking for a last gasp effort here to snatch victory from Dan Hunt's grasp, but I don't think he's going to do it here, and he'll probably be thinking do it into Mountain Corner, which is going to be very tricky in itself, but you never know with Pete Newman. He's got everything in his head to think, I can win this now.
Well, it's your last opportunity. No, he had to lift off at the moment because there's no room. Dan makes a little bit of a mistake here. Pete smells an opportunity here, but couldn't get the car in the right place. Once again, he would have had to go completely off into the kitty litter. He decided not to, as he is running out. There's only a few more corners to go. This is the roller coaster section at the moment, so hold on tight. Make sure you have your tray table in the upright position in your seat. Stowed away. The opposite way around. Oh, we've had a spin too as well. I think at the background that's Darren. We'll see him go back and look at a replay of this one, but we'll see these 2 drivers come across the line. Hopefully Dan is going to continue to keep this one up and be the first there.
And Dan Hunt is able to hold off Pete Newman this time after a disappointing first race. Dan Hunt makes amends to take the race to victory ahead of Pete Newman. Jamie Ayres completing a photo finish with Tom Griffiths 4th, having to settle for that. Steve Heaven in 5th place, and we're going to get a replay of a collision, I believe, involving Darren McLean and Fiona Siddons. This is coming out of Goosenecks, and this is Mansfield that they're heading through. In fact, Fiona Siddons colliding. She went for a move, which was fair, but Darren McLean refused to leave her room.
Yeah, that's something again. It's hard because the blind spot of the car. We saw that actually a few times at that opportunity because because of the difficulty of overtaking, you've got to try to stick your nose in a little bit, and then of course drivers are turning in on you, and then bingo, you're all around. But that's motor racing to me. Dan gets the job done. Barney's waving that flag with anticipation. Let's go over those results that we should have in a minute.
Well, I'll say that Colin Sanson is the winner in the AM class in race 2. And Charles Kellerman. Fiona Siddons, after that spin, has been granted a podium finish in the AM class. So well done to her. Had a Darren McLean and Sir Alan Soon getting over the line this time and getting some valuable points for himself. That concludes.
Here's Alan too. We haven't seen too much of Mr. Sir Alan, but he's just driven completely off into the distance there at the moment. You're speaking about there's your work guard, and okay, good. We got some results up on the screen.
So that completes race number 2. And Dan Hunt winning out ahead of Pete Newman by the narrowest of margins. Jamie Ayres in 3rd place and completing the pro podium. Tom Griffiths 4th, Steve Heffer 5th. Colin Sanson, the winner in AM, ahead of Charles Kellerman and Fiona Siddons, completing the AM podium. Darren McLean and Sir Alan Soon with the rest of those to finish. Ralph Cullinan crashed out, as did Jamie Wilson and Ollie Riggs. They'll be hoping for better luck in the second half of tonight. 2 races down, 2 races to go. Who will prevail in races 3 and 4? We've got a randomised grid for the 3rd race, and race 4 will be a reverse grid. Not a full reverse, but a reverse grid of the race 3 result. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the UK SimRacers Championship of the Mazda MX5s on JP Broadcasting. Tom Cairns in the contrary position alongside Dean Biggles. We've done 2 races already. We've got 2 more to come. The drivers have been taking the opportunity to just get a little bit more mileage in whilst we were on a break. 2 nice races we've had so far, Dean. Do you think we'll see more of it in races 3 and 4?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Now that the drivers are getting familiar with this track in racing conditions, of course, they've practiced a lot, probably solo and maybe with some friends or teammates and stuff like that. But now, when you get a whole gaggle of 13 or so cars out on the track there, that's when it becomes interesting. Very, very interesting. So, yep, to answer that question, definitely yes.
Drivers are just coming towards the end of their session. I think they are ready to go on the grid, and I think we've got a randomised grid ready as well. And it looks like Tom Griffiths is on pole ahead of Ralph Cullinan with Pete Newman and Steve Heatherd alongside. And it's Jamie Ayres and Ollie Riggs next, followed by Jamie Wilson, Fiona Siddons on row 4, Sir Alan Toon and Charles Kilman on row 5, Darren McLean and Dan Hunt on the 6th row. And at the back is Colin Sanson in the AM class. The drivers are rowing to go for race number 3, Dean. So we want to get rid of the grid graphics and we'll go straight to the action. And we are underway already, and Tom Griffiths leading ahead of Ralph Cullinan at the start, and Pete Newman has managed to get in front of Cullinan before Coppice Corner, and it's a super start again from Tom Griffiths, just as he had wanted, ahead of Newman, Cullinan and co. And as they all make their way through, the right-hander of Charlie's visibility is a lot better this time compared to what we had earlier on this evening. As we see a move there, it looks like Charles Kilman and Dan Hunt going toe-to-toe, and up through Park. There is a right-hander that will be navigating through, but so far Griffiths is able to maintain the lead ahead of Pete Newman, Cullinan and Heather going into combat, as his race is determined to make up for lost time after a difficult first couple of races, and he's just going to combat now with Jamie Ayres for 5th position, and Riggs loses out as Ayres goes onto the grass.
Yep, and saves it. Thankfully, comes back on the track. They'll lose place under a big pressure there from Fiona. Dan Hunt's in the background. Oh, into the fence completely. Is that Darren? Yes, it is. Big damage to the front end on Dazza, and he's going to have to retire back at pit road.
Yeah, he's out of the race. Darren McLean into the wall on the exit of Goosenecks, and that is his race done, unfortunately, for McLean. And so that's one AM driver down the field, continuing to filter through this Cadwell Park circuit. And Griffiths doing all he needs to do so far to go for his 2nd win of the evening. Hunt able to get through on the sit-ins, nicely done, but Hunt is the lowest of all the pro drivers in the race. Now, all the pro drivers are in the top 8 on the screen, which I suppose is a good thing, because now the pros can be in their own fight, whilst the AMs can be in their own. Fiona Siddons, the highest so far of all the AM drivers in the field, ahead of Charles Kellerman, Colin Sanson and Sir Alan Toon through Coppice for the 2nd time in the race. Griffiths pulling clear and maintaining his position ahead of Newman.
So, off to a good start for the drivers. The track temperatures dropped down to 20 degrees, clear conditions, so a good day to go racing. And a tough track as well. Yes, it is a tough track, Charles, but these gladiators are managing it so far quite well, apart from Dazza just before that accidentally. The fence come out and hit him, so that fence is on report.
Well, Ollie Riggs is in 5th place, but he's got a tap from behind by Jamie Wilson. And Jamie says, thank you very much. I'll take 2 off you. And Riggs came back on rather dangerously and nearly taking out Jamie Wilson. That could have been the end of it for the pair of them. And Riggs is all over the place. He's struggling to keep the car on the circuit.
Yeah, he's got some grit and grass and dirt and all that sort of stuff over there. So he's got to get get all that off and get the tyres sticking to the track at the moment, as Jamie Wilson sends it up the inside there. Job done.
Yeah, what a move from Jamie Wilson, and Ollie Riggs had to yield as soon as he went offline there. And Riggs has struggled so far again this evening, which is disappointing given a few rounds ago he'd been promoted up from AM to pro. He's not really making the most of the opportunity so far in the pro class for Ollie Riggs, which is a huge shame because he was magnificent when he was in the AM class. He was pretty much the dominant force of the category, but he's having a rather difficult time of it so far in pro. Tom Griffiths still leading ahead of Pete Newman as they begin their 3rd tour of the race. Ralph Cullinan in 3rd position, not having a lot of luck so far tonight. but this is an opportunity to redeem himself and get onto a podium position.
Redemption, exactly as you mentioned. Tom leading there from Pete Newman. And keeping themselves in check there. Ralph in that P3 position. And, yep, that's all she wrote for the rest of it. You can see currently at the moment, just the packs that are forming of the 2s by 2s and 3s.
You see Hunt, Wilson and Ricks fighting for 6th position. Further up ahead, you've got Colin and Hefford in 3rd and 4th, but the battle for the lead is continuing on between Griffiths and Newman. This is the closest battle we've got right now. There is Hunt, there is Wilson, there is Ricks. Siddons holding her position in the lead in the AM class over Charles Kellerman and Colin Sanson. Sir Alan seems a long way back from this. It looks like it'll be one of these 3 taking the AM honours in race number 3. Fiona Siddons has already celebrated 1 class victory this season at Brands Hatch 7 days ago. She'll love to make it 2 in a space of a week if she can hold off the likes of Kellerman and Sanson to the end. And someone has got off the circuit, and it's Ricks again. And what an unbelievable, ignominious evening he has had. And you can see by the way he's spun the car around there, he's surely damaged the car by the way he's gone into the barrier there.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look at a replay of that one. I just want to see how anything unfolds between Fiona and Charles. We've seen this picture before, haven't we, earlier? We've seen it in the season so far too, but this evening we've seen these 2 go at it, 2 for now.
And Siddons doing a remarkable job by holding on ahead of Kellerman and Sanson. So at least she'll be able to fend them off for the time being. We're going to replay of the incident involving Ollie Ricks. And yeah, I think he gets out of shape in the second part of the slalom.
Look at those trees.
Yeah, well, I say get rid of those trees. We want to get an onboard angle, actually, to see how Ricks managed to lose that. I'm sure he had hit the wall on his way over there. We'll get an onboard view of Ricks through Holes Bend. Yeah, it's the second corner of the... Yeah, he's hit the wall quite heavily. And that'll affect the handling for sure. But Ricks is down the order in 11th position overall and the lowest of all the pro drivers. But there is Siddons, Kellerman and Sanson. Nose to tail, not giving each other an inch. But it's so far so good between these 3. Hopefully they'll keep it clean all the way through. We've got a fight for 3rd place. Oh, you could just see Kellerman got offline there, got out of shape a little bit, but was able to recover ahead of Sanson.
Yeah, through that technical part of the track, of course, like the roller coaster, if you don't get it as straight as possible through there, you've just compromised everything. You have to completely just lift off the gas. You can't even hit the brake pedal because the rear end is going to slide around and you're going into the kitty litter. So at that point, isn't it? Yeah, you've got to just nail it absolutely perfect. You want to keep it as straight as possible through there, minimize the amount of turning, because most of the time that car's airborne as well, isn't it? So you've really got no traction, as we're seeing a nice battle between Steve and Ralph.
Yeah, we've got Colin and Hefford in a fight of their own. Hefford running wide. Is that going to open the door for Jamie Ayres to capitalise? Not this time around. Colin holding clear ahead of Hefford and Ayres going through goosenecks. And they've got the left-hander of Mansfield coming up for these lot. And it looks like Colin is holding on for now. And he's doing a better job of it in this one than he had done in the previous 2 races. And both Hefford and Ayres will be looking to get through. Dan Hunt has had a tricky time of it so far. He's running in 6th place behind these 3. It's unlikely he'll repeat what he had in race 2. And we've got a spin. That's Pete Newman. Pete Newman spun round and he's lost position. And Cullinan having to take evasive action by going onto the grass and losing a podium position to Jamie Ayres.
That is huge. Yeah, we'll go back and have a look at exactly what happened now. Now they're all gaggled up.
And that's allowed Tom Griffiths to pull clear of everyone now. And he can breathe easy all the way to the end. But that mistake from Newman has cost him 2nd position, I think he was in. Yes. And Hefford took advantage of both Cullinan and Newman. We're going to get a replay of it. Newman was right behind Griffiths entering the mountain. And he was already out of shape as soon as he touched that inside curb on the run up to the mountain. And he hit the wall. The rear end of his car and hit the wall. And he rejoined rather unsafely, forcing Cullinan to take evasive action onto the grass.
Yeah, you said that's where it all All went pear-shaped a little bit on that replay, but he's back in there. So what's happening, Stephen? Jamie, look at this four-way party here at the moment. Five cars. There's not enough space, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. But they're going for it.
It's come alive again in the battle for second place between Ayres, Hefford, Hunt and Cullinan and Newman in that matter. And Wilson's in the fight. And Ayres goes off on the exit of Goosenecks. Now he needs to rejoin safely, which he will do, but he's lost all that time and places out of the podium positions goes Jamie Ayres. And Hefford is in second position ahead of Dan Hunt. He's into the podium places.
Yeah, I just lost my internet there for a second as well, too, but we're good.
Okay, we'll carry on as we are. Hefford, Hunt, Cullinan, Newman, Wilson, and soon to be Ayres again. This battle isn't going to end anytime soon. A little nudge from Dan Hunt, nothing too much, but Hefford is still ahead of Hunt. Hefford going a little bit too deep into the hairpin, and he's able to hold clear ahead of Hunt. And Griffiths' lead is now 9 seconds over these 5, maybe 6 if Ayres gets himself back into it.
Yeah, he's already going to be...
He's game on.
Yeah. You can see the dinged up car there from Pete, but he's still driving the pants off that thing. 118 machine up the road there as well, spotting on from the T-cam on top of Jamie Wilson's roll bar. Yeah, Tom Griffiths leading this one.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Dan Hunt made contact with Steve Hefford on the entry of Coppice and Charlie's, and that almost took him out of the race. And you can see he's looking to make a move on the approach to Park Corner. Hunt on the outside, Hefford on the inside. Can Hunt outbrake him? Yes, he can. But has he gone too deep? Hefford fighting back, banging wheels on the exit of Park. Through Chris Chav, contact made. Hefford remarkably was able to gather it all up. That was a little naughty from Dan Hunt as they come towards Goosenecks. But I wonder what the stewards may say on that. But Dan Hunt ruthlessly and robustly getting through into second place. But that wasn't without contact.
Rufus and robust, I love it. Yeah, it's exciting up here. You're getting excited, Tom. Why not? We all absolutely get excited. Drivers get excited. They're getting door banging out, elbows out, kitchen sinks out. Everything's out at the moment. Tom up the road there doesn't need to worry about this. He's probably going to be listening to it from his team radio. Look at this. There's no room, gentlemen. You can't go side by side through there, but they're going to try.
Well, Pete Newman might as well try it for all it's worth. He's got through on Ralph Cullinan, back up into 4th place has Newman, and he's got Steve Hefford in his sights, and Dan Hunt. And Dan Hunt is trying to pull away, which he's doing so. You can see the leaders coming around to start what will be the third to last lap. Fiona Siddons, who was in the lead of the AM class, has had a moment at Mountain Corner, I believe, unless it was the hairpin that she's had a moment. Maybe able to get a replay of that in the near future, but Newman is having to fend off Cullinan, Wilson and Ayres as they do battle once again, and it looks like Siddons has been in the wall somewhere. I think she's had a crash at the hairpin because she's picked up damage, and I think she already had a spin at Mountain. She's skipped through the slalom section, and I think she's damaged the car somewhere, has Fiona Siddons. So it's a great shame because she was running so well, and yet she's into the pits and she's out. She came together with Charles Cullinan at Mountain Corner. We need to see.
Oh, yeah, we need to have a look at that one. I'll have a real quick. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. So, if we can get a replay of it now. Kellerman on the inside of Siddons on the entry to the mountain. And Siddons leaves enough space. Or, to be fair, that was Kellerman's corner. And they just couldn't leave each other enough space. And that resulted in Siddons's front bumper going. And Kellerman luckily was able to continue and in the lead now. And Sanson up to second place in the ants, and Sir Alan Toon on course for a rare AM podium. If he can just keep it on the island. But we're looking at the battle for what is the final podium position in Pro, involving Steve Hefford, Pete Newman, Ralph Cullinan, Jamie Wilson and Jamie Ayres as they come around to begin the penultimate lap of the race. And Hefford has got Newman all over the back of it, and there is Tom Griffiths. Well, it looks like he's having a Sunday drive when you look at him. He's got an 11-second lead, so what is he to worry about? Not looking at Newman and Cullinan nose to tail, heading through Coppice and Charlie's, and Newman is able to fend off Cullinan for now, but he wants to close in on Hefford and snatch that final podium position away from him.
Are we going to see a late send from some of these drivers? I think so. This is the last chance, perhaps, that they're going to get it. Where is our race leader? Well, he could get home at least in 1 minute and change. As you can see on the timing tower up above there, 1 minute and 29. So we'll definitely cross that line, I think, in time. Yes, they're doing, 1 minute 34 lap time. So, yes. That means that these drivers will have another chance to go for it. And I reckon somebody's going to do a full send around here.
Wilson had a sniff of a move on Ralph Cullinan through Goosenecks, and he's looking to make his way through on the inside into Mansfield, and that is Wilson through. Does Cullen leave him enough space? He does so, but they want to keep it clean through the next section of the mountain. And Wilson on the inside of Cullinan, and that should be job done for Jamie Wilson, and it is. Through into 5th place goes Jamie Wilson. Jamie is the next one. He'll be wanting to take advantage of an open door that is not quite there for him, so he'll have to tuck in behind. And he'll have one more tour to try and get the move on. Tom Griffiths is about to start the final lap. Kellerman and Sanson swapping places in the battle for the AM win. And Sanson is able to get through on Kellerman, who I can imagine, whose car was quite wounded from the contact with Fiona Siddons not too long ago.
No, give us that. Gentlemen and ladies, please choreograph your overtakes, please, one at a time. We don't have enough time to go through everything that's going on. 20 seconds remaining on the last lap of our Heat 1, our third race this evening, and it's definitely firing all up there. Pete Newman and Steve Heffield are also putting pressure on at the moment. Newman.
We've got Hefford and Newman.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Newman on the tail of Hefford, having a chance of a podium finish here. Can Pete Newman recover after that spin at the mountain? Hefford outbraking him, but going a little too deep, running onto the curb there. That'll allow Newman to pull onside, and contact made, and Newman loses out to Jamie Wilson. Newman will not like that one bit, and Hefford holds on to the podium position for now. But Newman's loss of momentum has allowed the Irishman of Ralph Cullen to get through into 5th place, and Newman will be livid with Hefford's manoeuvre there on the exit of Chris Curve.
And Tom, at the moment, will be all comfortable going up through the roller coaster. But this is where the last chances have got an opportunity at the moment there. Got to spot it perfect. You got to slice it through. You can see any mistakes right now, and you got to throw away that podium. Steve Heffield should have that one in the bag. There's a couple of corners to go. No mistakes made. There's our race winner crossing line right now, getting the job done. Tom, well done. And you got to wait 10 seconds down the road to see Dan, who's quite a bit of a gap there to this. Okay, pack, so I'm not sure what happened there, but here we go. Last chance from anybody. I don't think there's any time now.
Tom Griffiths taking victory ahead of Dunhunt comfortably. Hefford holds on to 3rd place ahead of Jamie Wilson, and Ralph Cullen and Pete Newman and Jamie is having to settle for 6th and 7th places. The battle for the AM class is not over just yet. Charles Kellerman is in front of Colin Sanson. I don't know where he's managed to do that. Sanson must have made a mistake somewhere, and Kellerman is going to take the AM win. I think that's the first time he's achieved an AM win, unless it's the second time. But we're going to see a replay of the overtake from Kellerman on Colin Sanson.
That's a left and slip through. That's a wiggle to say you can have it.
Well, that must have been after contact made between the pair of them. So fair play to Colin Sanson if that's the case. Ollie Ricks retired on the last lap. I don't know what happened to him,
crashed,
Dean, but Sir Alan Seam is going to come round and take the final AM podium, and very, very well done to him. This is Ollie Ricks, who I don't know if he's had a crash, and it's not the first time he's crashed here tonight.
Oh, just pushing it, risking it for the biscuit a little bit there for Ollie, but it is what it is. Ollie was running practically at the back of the field there anyway, so I really got too much to lose there.
Well, that is the end of race number 3. We'll run down on the result. And for the second time at Cadwell Park, Tom Griffiths is your race winner, and convincingly so by over 10 seconds. Dunhunt second, and Jamie Wilson running out the podium. It says Jamie Wilson in 3rd place. I don't know why that is. It should be, to my understanding, it should be Steve Hefford in that position. If that's so, then Hefford should be in 3rd. Jamie Wilson in 4th.
Maybe he had a penalty or something like that attached. Look at that, it's down P11.
No, he won't have done. He won't have done. It should be Steve Hefford. Sometimes iRacing does that. So Steve Hefford is 3rd, Jamie Wilson 4th, Ralph Cullen in 5th, and Pete Newman and Jamie Ayres. Charles Kellerman, the winner in the AM class, and Colin Sanson. And Sir Alan Toome picking up an AM podium finish. Very well done to him. Ollie Ricks crashed out on the last lap. Fiona Siddons retired earlier on, as did Darren McLean. That finishes up race number 3. One more race to go. The drivers are on their warm-up session again. Just some of that 3rd race from your eyes, Dean.
Wow. I kind of knew that they were going to get their elbows out and really start throwing those cars around, getting those overtakes done, and they did. They proved it. That was just... I thought that the second race was thrilling and exciting. This one just took it to a whole new level, isn't it? What are we going to expect for race 4 now?
We're just waiting on what the reverse grid is going to be for race number 4. When James is with me, he would normally tell me in advance, but since he's not here tonight, I don't actually know. So, but either way, Tom Griffiths will be thinking, well, he'll keep it a mystery. And to be fair, the fans don't know either. The people who are watching this stream don't know as much as we do.
I don't think drivers know. You don't get the reverse grid until the warm-up session is finished. But basically, from our previous results, you can kind of work it out.
I don't think it'll be any higher than the top 11, I would say. But it's not always the top 11. It can sometimes be top 10 or top 9. It's probably going to be one of those 3, but I just don't know which one it would be. Just want to see if there's anything being said in the live chat. Elias2K9 saying it's good to see cars losing the will to grip on corner exits. Most bikes go round it on one wheel. It's about the only way to make them behave. And, that's an interesting one. I mean, bikes are not necessarily my specialty, but I can understand where he's coming from with that. I mean, Cadwell Park is most specially designed for motorbike racing. Now, I was right before about the British Superbikes. They do race at Cadwell Park. They've done so every year since the mid-90s, except 2020 for obvious reasons, as you can imagine. Don't need to mention what it is. But there you go. That's Cadwell Park for you in a nutshell.
Oh, excellent. You can actually see on the straight start line finish all the little markers, the grid markers for the motorbikes. So that clearly gives you an indication that's a motorbike track, and of course the width as well too on the track gives you another indication. But it's certainly fun to throw these MXs around here. That's for sure. The drivers are having fun. Some of the drivers probably a little bite in their tongue, with some of the door bang that's going on. Some of the stewards will look at later on. It's a nice sunset. I believe it's in the evening now. It's dropped about another degree in the temperature for the track temperature, about 19 degrees now, air temperature. So it's equal to the air temperature. And it is, 6 or so p.m. In a race time, 17 mile an hour winds, as they are just about wrapping up with all the ones on the clock there. 1 minute and 11 seconds remaining. Getting the last little bit of practice sessions. The 3 or 4 drivers are out on track, whilst the other drivers have a bit of a breather. Darren exploring all the track limits as much as possible. Darren McLean, who had that early off-track excursion, didn't he, in the previous race?
Just waiting for the warm-up session to finish, and then we hopefully get a reverse grid. We've got less than a minute to go, so it won't be too long to wait. Charles Kilman coming into the chat saying it's a tough track. Well, yeah. I was going to say, no wonder, Sherlock. I won't say...
Summer Farm Estates?
Yeah.
8. What's the 8?
Yeah.
For?
I don't know if he means like turn number 8.
Yeah, let us
a bit
know,
of an
please.
interesting one. Yeah, let us know on that.
23 seconds before we get that grid in, and we'll be happy to see you, or we'll respond to you anyway, of course, because we're interactive here at the JP Broadcasting Network. We love the fans tuning in, and we love reading your suggestions, ideas, and knowing even that you're a track marshal around here when they had the motorbike series.
I wonder if he's been to Lincoln many times as that track marshal. I don't know if he's from around there, but Lincoln is a nice place to visit, and because I spent 4 years at uni living in Lincoln, and it was quite fun while it lasted. But we are coming towards the end of the warm-up session. It's concluded now, and we'll run down on the reverse grid. And I can tell you that it is Darren McLean who will start at the head of the field. No, it's not. It's Fiona Siddons who will start on reverse grid pole, with Steve Hefford alongside Ollie Ricks and Sir Alan Toon on next on the second row. Colin Sanson and Charles Killerman in 5th and 6th. It's Jamie Ayres, Pete Newman on the row number 4, Ralph Cullen and Jamie Wilson rounding out the top 10, Dan Hunt and Tom Griffiths on row 6, and it's Darren McLean last on the grid in 13th place. The drivers are all on the grid now, so lights are on, and the lights are about to go out. 1 light is coming on shortly. 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights are on. Lights are off, and we'll go for one last time here at Cadwell Park. Fiona Siddons getting off nicely from pole position. ahead of Steve Hefford and Ollie Ricks. Hefford just tucking in behind, but he's looking for a way through into Cobblers corner, but Siddons reads it and holds him off for now. And they all make their way through the right-handers of Charlie's. And it's so far so good from Fiona Siddons, doing a fine job so far. Steve Hefford and Ollie Ricks in their own battle, but we're just looking at Jamie Ayres having a sniff of a move, as is Colin Sanson, who are looking to get through at the same time. And there's contact made, and it's going to cause absolute mayhem on the approach to Park. And it's Ollie Ricks who's come together with someone and rejoins and almost takes out another driver in the process there. I couldn't quite see who he collided with. I think it was Colin Sanson who had gone round, but that was a very messy back straight there on the approach to the right-hander of Park.
That's, yeah, I'll get back and have a look at the replay of that one. That's, Fiona goes a little bit too deep in that one. Steve's going to put the pressure on big time. How much is she going to fight? I was going to say in the past time, when Fiona gets out in front in these situations, she can hold her own quite well. She loves up there, and of course with the pro drivers, she'll be more respectful of the pro drivers, letting them out through, but she can stay up there. She'll be good in the AM lead. Big gap to Kellyman down in P7 as well.
Yeah, so that's Hefford into the lead. It's a long time since we've seen Hefford hit the front, but he is there now, and you can see Dan Hunt behind Charles Kellyman in the fight for P7 overall. And Hunt, who took the race 2 win, he's looking to make it 2 wins, just like Tom Griffiths has done this evening.
That car looks pretty beat up, doesn't it? Charles is on the rear of that car. Look at that. It's seen better days.
I wonder if you've got a... Well, I wonder that just could well be the livery of it.
Oh, it looks like livery. Sorry, my apologies from that angle.
Yeah, it looks like the livery of Charles Kellerman's car anyway. But Tom Griffiths is down in last position. I don't know whether he's been caught up in any of the first lap mayhem or whether he's just lost ground from where he was in 12th place. It was the top 12 that was reversed. There goes Pete Newman through on Fiona Siddons for P2. That was not the hardest overtake in the world that he had to do. Dan Hunt going through on Charles Kellerman. Tom Griffiths on Sir Alan Toon further back. You can see the drivers just coming into the zone a little bit now. Colin Sanson and Charles Kellerman, who have had their own ding-dong battles and their own maladies earlier on. And are going to be going into combat again. Jamie Ayres going through on Fiona Siddons for 3rd position. Fiona Siddons is the highest of all the AM drivers. She's got a cushion over Kellerman and Sanson, and we're getting a replay of what happened on the first lap. There's Jamie Ayres on the right, and there is, who was that coming there? That's Colin Sanson and Ollie Ricks. So that was Sanson sending Ricks into Ayres, and Ricks got out of shape and spun Colin Sanson round and off the track.
Hey, have a look at this at the moment there. There's 3 into 1. There's no space left on the track, isn't it? And it's a ping-pong effect, and unfortunately, there's just nowhere to go. And even with that nice spin, isn't it, Colin? Almost just gets back on track, so it could have been a lot worse, but he's still in the race. He's currently in P9 at the moment. We've got the battle for the pros, because now that they've displaced Fiona, of course, in a different category, they can get at it for potentially the race win.
Well, Newman is getting a good run on Steve Hefford down the park straight, and I think Newman is going to take over leadership in race 4 at Cadwell Park on the inside, and Hefford does not fight it. He did not have a good exit on the exit of Charlie's, and Newman is fighting through into the lead. Jamie Wilson and Dan Hunt swapping places further back. You can see side by side through the Chris curve, and they've got goosenecks coming up. Is Dan Hunt able to outbrake Wilson into there? Just about. A little bit of wheel banging, nothing too personal. Hunt leaves him enough space, but he has to go onto the grass to maintain the position. Wilson on the inside through the left-hander of Mansfield, but Dan Hunt is able to hold on, but they've got the mountain to head through, and I can see why it's called the mountain. It's because of the incline. Oh, they bang wheels, and Wilson pays the price and spins round.
Yeah, it was just the door bang is a little bit too much, isn't it? Especially through that tricky section there. At some point, somebody has to lift. Unfortunately, none of them wanted to lift. And Jamie Wilson is the unfortunate victim to that situation.
Yeah, so that is Ollie Ricks, who's in the fight with Fiona Siddons for overall position. And we're getting a replay now, and this was thanks to some wheel banging between the pair of them. Did Dan Hunt leave an offside? I don't think Dan Hunt left Wilson enough space, you know. So
Yeah,
I think
I
Wilson
know.
may have.
Well,
Well, I think Wilson may have a case on it afterwards, but we'll leave that alone for now. Ayres on the tail of Hefford on the exit of Charlie's, and he's fancying his chances for second position. He's looking for an opportunity, but isn't quite one yet, unless he's absolutely brave and sending it to the inside. He makes Hefford brake later than normal to sort of dummy it, but Hefford reads it enough and keeps hold of second position. Fiona Siddons ahead of Ollie Ricks and Dan Hunt overall, but Siddons won't be too worried about those two. She'll be more worried about Charles Kellerman and Colin Sanson.
exactly. She's going to just keep the gap to them at the moment. And, of course, she's got a couple of cars in between of the pro class that are going to be attacking her at once. Now, it's going to be both of them on either side of Fiona. I mean,
Well,
leave her alone because Fiona's also in another battle there. They're going to try to barge their way past her. Fiona's not going to take this too much. She's a very kind and lovely driver, but, like anybody, get your elbows out. It's time, so they did muscle their way past Fiona, but I think it could have done it in a less aggressive way. And she is in the different class.
Oh, yeah, Siddons had to be kind and let Hunt through on the exit of the mountain. And you can see Ollie Ricks spinning round. He nearly takes out Dan Hunt. Ollie Ricks' night has gone from bad to worse. What a dreadful evening he has had with so many spins, so many errors he has made, and it's not exactly going to plan for him at all.
He almost lost it there, didn't he? And then he lost it a second time around.
Oh, he was very lucky to not take out Dan Hunt there. Hunt would have been absolutely furious had Ricks collided into him. But Ricks did well to stay out of his way. And Fiona Siddons has now got Charles Kellerman and Colin Sanson looming her down. And the battle for the victory is raging on now. Darren McLean is in the fight too.
And she's not going to yield this position now because she realizes this is in my class. So it's like heavyweight versus featherweight. We're going to put that separation, of course, in boxing and stuff like that. But this is the class she's fighting with. And she's not going to... This is going to be interesting. Charles is going to try to find a way past. And as you can see, that's also Brang, Colin, Samsung, and Darren McLean. As you said exactly, all the AM gladiators are in this section of the track right now.
Well, there is Siddons, there is Kellerman who are riding on board with Colin Sanson and Darren McLean waiting behind. We've got just over 7 minutes to go. It will be a 10-lap race again, so we are going to get 4 races ending up with 10 laps around Cadwell Park. We've not had a wet race this evening either, and I can imagine that's maybe because of the fact that, given it's a new track, they want to give the drivers enough experience before they decide that, do you know what, let's give a wet race at Cadwell Park a go, but not this evening. And Kellerman getting a nice exit out of Barn corner. Is he going to get a run through Coppice? He's probably a bit too far back, but wait for that run on the exit of Charlie's, and you might get your answer.
And we shall find out. And Fiona under massive pressure. Here we go. I think at the moment, too, Charles is in a difficult position, isn't he? Because he's got Column here. Really? Samsung playing a lot of pressure on. So I don't like... Some drivers don't like it because you got to be mirror driving. You got to be driving forward. Look at this. Column's also going to do the same thing as McLean is going to go for it.
Well, here's McLean through on Sanson before Park, or so he thought. Sanson on the inside. McLean going onto the grass and getting back on the island safe and sound. And Siddons is staying in touch with Dan Hunt a little bit, maybe because of the fact that she can get the draft from Hunt ahead, who's chasing down. Well, I say he's chasing down. Hunt is 8 seconds off Jamie Ayres. And I wonder if Dan Hunt has just had he's had a moment somewhere that's seen and dropped back from Neiman, Hefford and Ayres. The best battle we've got involving pros is between Hefford and Ayres for second place. But this battle is raging more than what we are seeing in the pros. Siddons, Kellerman, Sanson and McLean doing battle again here.
And look at that way that Darren just had to lift off there so that you could try to slice your way through here and get a good exit and a run down here. This is kind of like almost to the dipper of Bathurst is coming up this week as well too for the virtual Bathurst. And yeah, look at that. Darren gets a good exit out of here, but there's no track there. And he's got a lift off at the moment. That almost turned Colin. Now they can regroup, retry again. And he's going to fully send it up the inside here. Nut lifts off. Wow, this is just fantastic. You just don't know when they're going to send it, when they're not, when they're lifting. The battling continues. Fiona still holding this AM class behind her.
It's a super fight between these lot. We've got a retirement as well involving Ollie Ricks, whose dreadful evening has come to an end. We don't know where he's done it. It wouldn't surprise me where he's perhaps done it. He might have done it at the mountain. This is Mansfield he's going through, and this is on the approach to the mountain. And yep, it's at the mountain. So it's not quite at Hole's Bend, but it's still enough to put in the wall. And yeah, that's his race done, unfortunately, for Ollie Ricks. Won't put any more misery onto him because he'll probably just want to say this is a write-off tonight and hope for better luck next week. And just run down on where we'll be racing as well, as whilst we're watching the battle here, as we see Sanson and Kellerman all over the back of Siddons. There goes.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a nudge. And it looks like the front bumper had gone there. And that is enough for Siddons to lose the lead to Kellerman. And Sanson will not be very happy there. And Kellerman was just able to reap the benefits and able to take advantage. And that's Siddons down to second. And Sanson in third place. And Sanson nudging. And he's in the wall, is Sanson. And that is pretty much game over for him. Unless he can continue. But I'm sure he's sustained enough damage. And Darren's lost his front bumper as well. And that'll be him into the pits. And that might hand an AMP podium again over to Sir Alan Toon, would you believe? But we're going to get a replay now of the incident involving Siddons, Sanson and McLean on the exit of the hairpin here. Siddons goes wide, and it looks like Sanson got tapped round. McLean on the inside went way too deep into Barn, and he ended up in the wall himself.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look at that one. I didn't want to miss some of the action here between Ralph and Jamie Wilson. And Tom, actually, my apologies. There's Tom Griffiths. And looks like he's going to make his way around, try to make his way around Ralph. Ralph has got some good fighting spirit in that number 32 machine, so he doesn't ever makes anything very easy. Nor the driver shouldn't really make anything easy because it's a motor race, and it's all about defending is a part of good motor racing just as much as overtaking. That's what you don't get to see too much or credit for, of course. But that is what it is. Still, Steve Hetfield is keeping Pete Newman in check at the moment at the front. They get really close, and then Pete puts the pedal down a little bit more, increases that gap, and so forth and so forth. And here we go back to the battle of the AMs.
Well, that is Jamie Wilson going through on Fiona Siddons. And just to correct you, it's Jamie Ayres who's behind Steve Hefford. Pete Newman is 6 seconds clear over Steve Hefford, as Newman has begun the penultimate lap of the race. He shouldn't be troubled from here on in. And you can just see Wilson trying to pull away from Siddons. There is Colin Sanson recovering after hitting the wall. His car can't be running in the best of shape. And we'll run down on the calendar after the race is finished. But there goes Jamie Ayres on Steve Hefford. And I wonder if that came on the back of Hefford making a mistake on the exit of Charlie's.
We make any mistake around here, you got to pounce on it. I would say yes to that one, for sure. So Jamie's up the road there. Yep, do apologise. Pete is still up the lead there by a mile now on the penultimate lap. We'll have one more.
Yep, he's not going to get caught now. Is Pete Newman. He can just take it very, very easy from here on in. As second, Hefford third. Hunt 5 seconds back from Hefford. And now we're going to get a replay of Darren McLean. This is the incident earlier. He ran into Colin Sanson, and he just went way too deep when trying to get through on Fiona Siddons. And yeah, that was coming all along, and he was always going to end up in the wall once he knew that he was going to carry too much speed into that right-hander there.
Yeah, that damage might have just done something as well too with the battle. So it's definitely good, quite exciting. So out of it, really, I mean, you got to look at Charles was the biggest beneficiary of that one, isn't he? Because he's up into P5 at the moment, leading in class.
Now Hefford, he'll want to get the strongest of exits as the sun continues to set around Cadwell Park, but we've only got one more tour to get through. And we are seeing a battle raging on again between Ayres and Hefford. Hefford getting a strong exit out of Charlie's by the looks of it. He'll get into the draft and try and pull out alongside. Can he get to the inside of the corner as they come up towards Park? The answer is no. He almost gives Ayres a nudge, but not quite so. And Dan Hunt will just be wanting to see how this battle rages on. He's quite a bit back, is Hunt. Charles Cullinan looking good for another victory. Tom Griffiths going through on Fiona Siddons on the track, but that won't trouble Fiona Siddons too much. And Sanson continuing to drop back all the time, but he should maintain the final podium ahead of Sir Alan too. Cullinan trying to make one last gasp overtake, just as a little consolation for his evening. We'll want to go back to Pete Newman, who's had a clean race all the way through, it has to be said, and he's maintained his composure around the narrow circuit of Cadwell Park, located in the area of Louth in Lincolnshire, the United Kingdom. Pete Newman, for the first time tonight, wins at Cadwell Park and claims a convincing victory. Jamie Ayres will hold off Steve Hefford for second place, and Hefford will be happy to end his night with a podium position to his name in Pro, ahead of Dan Hunt. We'll have to make do with just the single victory. Charles Cullinan, once again, picking up an win, and that will help his cause in the standings, which will be updated after the stream is done. And over the line goes Jamie Wilson and Tom Griffiths, 5th and 6th in class. Ralph Cullinan ahead of Fiona Siddons, who bags another podium. And Colin Sanson will hold off Sir Alan team for the final podium, as Ralph Cullinan wants to test whether a car can fly in the air. It can, albeit briefly.
Ooh.
And yeah, there you go. And well, if it hasn't gone your own way, have a bit of a laugh once the race is over. And that'll be probably what will be going through Ralph Cullinan's mind. Sir Alan goes over the line, 4th place in class and 11th overall. And so we'll run down on the result for race number 4. Pete Newman is the winner ahead of Jamie Ayres and Steve Hefford. Dan Hunt 4th, Charles Cullinan in 5th and winner in the AM class. Jamie Wilson 6th, Tom Griffiths 7th ahead of Ralph Cullinan. Fiona Siddons 9th and 2nd in class, and Colin Sanson completes in the AM podium and 10th overall. So Alan Toon was the last driver to finish. Darren McLean and Ollie Ricks did not finish. And so, after a tricky beginning for Pete Newman this evening, he ends race number 4 with a victory. And well done to Charles Cullinan picking up another win in the AM class, and Fiona Siddons coming away with 2 AM podiums, something of which she hasn't achieved for a long time, if not ever, in the UK SimRacers Championship.
So we'll take a little, just a short little just reflection on all that, and see if we do have a quick chat to any of the drivers, perhaps, or not.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple of minutes anyway, and if we do get anyone wanting to come in and have a chat with us, then they are welcome to do so. Those who have been watching, let us know your thoughts on the action as well, and you know, given how brilliant the racing has been with these Mazda MX5s, I think Cadwell Park has certainly put on the show something different, I have to say, compared to a lot of other racetracks. I mean, we were at Brands last week on the Grand Prix configuration. We know the racing that can provide, and I don't think Cadwell Park had disappointed either, don't you think?
Oh, it was fun because it's the first time I visited here, and I just love the cars that are flying around a motorbike track, really. And I mean, Brands Hatch is a classic track. It's one of my favorite tracks in the UK. But I've been there multiple times, at least in the virtual world. But this, yeah, I loved it. What are your thoughts out there too for the viewers? And we'll see. And the rest of that calendar, just to elaborate to everybody, where were we off to next, and so forth.
So after Cadwell Park, we head to Silverstone on the Legacy South configuration. And then it's off to Alton Park on the international layout, and it's back to Brands Hatch, this time on the Indy course, so the shorter version, which British touring cars race there sometimes, like they have done so earlier this year. Then it's off to the States at Road America on the 29th of October, and it's off to VIR on the full layout on the 5th of November. Then it's off to Barber on the 12th, New Hampshire on the road course on the 19th of November, and the season finale, which will be on the 26th of November on the Silverstone Grand Prix configuration on the new version of it, not the old one. So yeah, there you go. That's the calendar for you, and the season will end on the 26th of November, which is interesting because that's my brother's birthday. Believe it or not, he'll be 31 by the time that comes around. But the replay we are seeing of who we're looking at here. Is this Pete Newman's race start? We're looking to see. It's the
Yes, sir.
118.
It's the Pete Newman race start. I just wanted to just confirm that while we have a little bit of wait, because remember he had to. This is the feature race that we just had, so he had a bit of work to do to get through here. I'll just speed it up a little bit. We're at full speed. You can see that's number 1 done. Got the job. Let's see if he gets a couple more places up. As you can see, there's a 2nd place gathered from a little bit of mistake. Surviving.
I mean, it was a clean start.
Couple of corners, isn't it? At the start of a race, especially from a standing start, is something that you can walk away and go, thankfully, I wasn't involved in any early incidents. 3 abreast up here. Look at that. That's when we saw that one go pearl-shaped. And look how lucky he was to lift. Look at that. Wow, that could have all been completely different, couldn't it? For our race winner.
Yeah, that could.
For this
It's so easy. Could have been very, very different. But luckily, Pete Newman was able to live to fight another day and run away with a convincing win. I don't think we're going to get any drivers. We haven't got any drivers in the waiting room, Dean. So we'll probably just finish the stream right there and then. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in and all our competitors this evening for putting on a fantastic show for the UK SimRacers MX5's first appearance around Cadwell Park. Dean, thank you very much for joining me in the country booth as well. Good to hear your analysis. And of course, learning something new for once. That is Cadwell Park. And there you go. Thank you to everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. And we'll look to do it all over again at Silverstone on the South Legacy layout next week. We'll do it all again in 7 days' time in the UK SimRacers Championship. I'm Tom Cairns. He's Dean Biggles. And we'll speak to you again soon when the UK SimRacers MX5 Championship returns.